this is not the first time that Western media has posted something racist and xenophobic against Indians. So let's in fact take you through some other examples of this bigotry that Western media often falls back to when it comes to depictions of India. So we're going to take you through some examples of that as well. Firstly, of course, first on the list is the New York Times 2014 cartoon that, when India was launching its Mars mission, and it published this cartoon that you see over here, which shows a turbaned Indian farmer with the cow knocking on elite space club door after Mars mission success. So despite India making such strides, they came back to this racist imagery. Secondly, the Der Spiegel in Germany, which was published in 2023, we have that cartoon over there as well. It shows an overcrowded and chaotic Indian train with people on the roof. You can see people carrying that Indian flag as well to really push that imagery. Overtaking sleek Chinese bullet train on population milestone. So this comes when India overtook China in terms of population, and you can see that Chinese bullet train offset with this imagery of a overcrowded Indian train. Then we have La Vanguardia from Spain. This was published in 2022. So all of these very recent cartoons also. It shows a snake charmer. Again, we're back to this snake charmer imagery. A caricature on the front page to illustrate India's economic growth story. So even as India was making strides in the economy, you can see the snake charmer imagery used. So that graph is depicted as a snake, despite India making strides when it comes to economic growth. It's all set to become the 4th largest economy at the time. We come back to that racist stereotype. Then of course Aftenposten from Norway, this cartoon that was published that we have kept the focus on today. PM Modi as a snake charmer sitting on a rug playing flute with the fuel pump hose as a snake, by Marvin Hallraker, of course, and you see that image over there that we've been speaking about today. So a pattern that has been witnessed when it comes to depiction of India, even if it is talking about India's growth story, it does come back always to these very specific, very stereotypical images, as we've of course seen. We have Ambassador KP Fabian, former diplomat, joining us on the broadcast. So we just went through this history of bigoted, racist, stereotypical images being used by Western media to depict India, even when they're talking about India's growth, India's successes. How do you view this sort of falling back to the same old racist stereotypes when it comes to Western media and their depiction of India as a whole? Yes, so are you able to hear me?
Thank you.
We'll try to establish that connection with Ambassador KP Fabian, but on your screens, of course, is this history of racist imagery being used by Western media when it comes to depicting India. And you see that history on your screens right now. Ambassador KP Fabian, are you able to hear me, sir?
I can hear you very well.
All right, so we're speaking about this, this habit of Firangi media of using, falling back into the same old stereotypes, these specific images of, overcrowded trains, of a snake charmer when it comes to depicting India. And even if they're speaking about India's successes or its achievements, they do seem to fall back into the same old stereotypical bigoted imagery. How do you view this habit that the Western media seems to have developed?
Let's get to the root of the problem. First of all, it is only a very small section of the Western media which is indulging in this. there is acceptance of India's progress, contemporary India's progress. There is acceptance of India's contribution to Western civilization and to other civilizations in the West, growing acceptance. But there are some who still would like to talk about snake charmers. And I was ambassador in a Nordic country, Finland. And I found that the textbooks on India made specific references to snake charmers. So what I did was that I called, in Finland, textbooks are written by what is called non-fiction writers, not by the government or government-appointed scholars. And I called them for cocktails, talked to them, and said that this is not reflective of India, and just as I would like to see Finland properly represented in Indian textbooks, well, we all should also see to it that India is also properly represented. Then I talked to them and said, why don't you visit India? And I arranged with the NCRT to invite them. Of course, the Finns paid for their airfare and whatnot, but NCRT took them around, and then those people, the Finns, they rewrote their textbooks. Additionally, they invited an NCRT team, textbook writers, to visit Finland. So we have to tackle, the root of the problem because of outdated textbooks, And another thing is that there is no point in reacting harshly to such things because if we are harsh, then the other side becomes harsher. In any case, we all know that, it is part of culture to respect other cultures. And if somebody is showing such intemperance, inability to respect India's culture, well, they have to be handled a little, what shall I say, carefully, There is no point in kicking them back because then we are bringing ourselves level to their level. So I'm sure this can be done, and this is being done by our missions abroad.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your perspective on that story with us as well. With that, viewers, we'll slip into a very short break. We'll be right back.